Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. I wanted to quickly make a point on something that I think I made before, but I just wanted to be very clear on this one as well. For those of you who actually, again, I'm not trying to talk a bunch of mean things just for the reason of just being mean. I'm not like that. When I feel that there's something wrong, that something is actually wrong, and I feel that there's something that's something that I feel is corrupted, or in any way having to do with corruption, something that doesn't seem right, I have to say something about it. When I used to believe in God, when I was brought up as a Christian, and my parents, especially my mom, was mostly what you would consider or call a liberal Christian. She wasn't she wasn't really a traditional follower, but she did believe in God. She wasn't really, but she wasn't really into it in the real strict type of beliefs and traditions that you have to do, like which is very normal. The opposite of that is very normal for an Hispanic family. There's a lot of there's a lot of Puerto Ricans that are like Pentecostal or this and that, and there's a lot of Hispanics that are just very strict. Their mothers and this and that. And the point is, I grew up questioning things only because, not because I was being disrespectful, but because of the fact that I just needed to know. I wanted to understand. And the things I would say, well, why can't, why do people have to go to hell just because they don't believe in Jesus, or why isn't being good enough? Now I can understand if a person does evil and has no remorse and this and that, and they end up going to hell as a result of it. That makes sense to me. But to put them in the same category as someone who was brought up and with good morals, someone who's very righteous, who does the best he can for most of his life or her life or whatever, for that person to actually have their soul jeopardized just because they don't believe in Jesus, or they don't believe enough in Jesus, and as a result they end up going to hell, the lake of fire and all this kind of stuff like that. So if you, doesn't matter how righteous you are, if you violate certain types of laws given by God, don't have any other gods before me, don't do this, don't do that, and then you don't question it, you're becoming a slave, a mind-controlled slave. You're being programmed, and it's getting ingrained. Now, you don't really need to be a genius to understand this. Being good is not necessarily a choice, and being good is not necessarily something that is taught to you and then automatically is considered truthful. Being good or evil, a person who does good or evil, they're like that through nature. You're born to either be to do bad or to do good based on your own genetics. What is your genetic code? What is it about you? And you're gonna find out that when people do things that are considered bad or immoral, like a person who excuse me, a person who cheats on his wife, for example. He pretends to be this faithful guy, but he cheats on his wife. And he says, and the main reason for most men, the main reason why they do that is because they're low by nature. It's in their genes. It's in their blood, and they can't stop. It's part of their primal nature. Primal, because we're descendants from the Neanderthals. We're descendants from the cavemen. I need to have this. I need to have that, and you have no control over it. That's what it is. But some people have more control over it than others because of the way their brain is formed. If they have enough temporal lobe to keep their and also the frontal lobe, the prefrontal cortex, that keeps all their emotions in check. The prefrontal cortex and the temporal lobe that holds the amygdala in place. The amygdala is the part of the brain that has to do with sexual desire, anger, fear, and other things like that. That part of the brain is kept in check by the temporal lobe. And if it's damaged, or sometimes people are born with an abnormal brain, that they don't have enough temporal lobe to keep that in check. And also with your blood, your DNA, you could have a DNA of a psychopath. You could have a DNA of a person who's just a big time asshole, and there's a lot to explain on that one, but you pretty much get what I'm saying. I think, just to make things clear, it's wrong for any Christian, especially a Christian fundamentalist, Jewish, religious Jewish person, or even a person who's Muslim, who teaches Islam, saying all these kind of strict things about don't do this, don't do that, otherwise you'll suffer for it for eternity. God will not forgive you, and then there are so many things that are so hypocritical. Saying just like what George Carlin was saying about if you violate any of these commandments, you're going to suffer in hell, being tortured full of anguish forever and ever to the end of time. But he loves you, and people started laughing because it's so contradicting. And if you really look at it, God is an evil tyrant. If he does exist, he is an evil tyrant. A self-centered, egotistical, a very fucking selfish, arrogant piece of shit. As far as the character, as far as the whole thing, for those of you who really know what I'm talking about, I know you'll agree with me. And of course, there's a bunch of other people who are going to say that what I'm saying is heresy, what I'm saying is this and that, I'm being controlled by Satan, or Satan is doing something to me. Let me tell you something, and I said this before. A couple of times already. There is no Satan. Okay, there is no heaven or hell. There is no Satan. The Catholic Church, the Christian religion especially, just like with Judaism and whatever, they made them up. And according to this one guy named Alex Collier, he said that the Catholic Church made them up. They even admitted it. They even admitted creating the idea of the devil in order to control people. But the problem is, a great deal of people don't want to believe that because we're all victims of fear. The fear of what if there is a Satan and I'm wrong? I'm gonna end up going to hell. What if this and that? We are so fucking programmed. We are programmed to believe in bullshit. Take what I'm saying into consideration. And also, I wanted to say something about King James. King James was a tyrant. He killed a lot of innocent people. He was also no different than any typical tyrant who, in which he went down in history as being, they fabricated his name, fabricated this guy's life into being this one righteous person, which he really wasn't. he wasn't righteous, just like any other person that I criticized, like Muhammad, not being a righteous man is the way people thought of him to be. He was a violent prophet and all this kind of stuff like that. King James was no different. Just please understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say this to be mean or anything like that. There is a lot of truth to what I'm saying. But again, it's my opinion. You're free to believe whatever you want. But I'm just trying to tell people, do you need to do some research? And again, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And for those of you, just to let you know, there is no Satan. There is no Satan. There is no devil. There's nothing like that. There is nothing to worry about. There is no hell. So just trust me. All that is bullshit. Okay? There is no fucking Satan. Just like there's no God. He never was one. I mean, there never was one. So stop believing in bullshit. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. But I'm just letting you know. Again, to all of you, take care.